Hi everyone, afternoon update for Hurricane Harvey on August 25th, 2017. Welcome back everyone. As you can see here, Harvey has now became an incredible storm. This is one that's going to go down for the record books, potentially, the way that things are going for this hurricane over here. As you can see here, notice that the eye, as you can see on the satellite loop from NOAA, as you can see here, this is the GO 16 floater visible satellite loop, imagery loop. As you can see here, notice that Harvey, as you can see on the day as the sun starts to come up, notice that the eye is trying to bubble, it's trying to show up over here. This is an incredible storm, and the way that the eye is starting to come and go and disappear, there's like an eye wall, there's sort of an eye wall replacement cycle. That's why I think has the same strength. As you can see here, it does have the same strength of 110 miles per hour. And when I did the update yesterday, it had winds of 85 miles per hour. It quickly strengthened into a category 2 overnight, as we thought that it was supposed to do, and yes it did. And then now this is becoming more of a dangerous situation, maybe life-threatening, is what the National Weather Service is saying. Life-threatening situation over here for a large area of Texas. As you can see here, notice that the outer bands of the hurricane is already starting to hit the coastline, and landfall. It could make landfall as a Cat 3, as I mentioned yesterday. It'll make landfall somewhere between later tonight into tomorrow morning. It'll make landfall overnight, so it's likely overnight is the scenario. So it could become a category 3 just before landfall. This is what the NHC is saying. As you can see here, this is what the NHC is saying. As you can see here, major hurricane. By the time we get to later tonight, right now has winds of 110 miles per hour. This is the 10 a.m. advisory Central Daylight Time, advisory 21 from the National Hurricane Center. It is probably like 80 or 90 miles away from landfall. So in about less than 10 hours from now, it could make landfall. Probably about 10 hours from now. We gotta wait and see about that. As I mentioned, warnings were up for a few days ago, and it's still gonna be there. As you can see here, the biggest issue, the biggest danger that this storm will pose is the flooding rain threat. As you can see here, I'm gonna show it right now. This is the U.S. rainfall forecast from the National Weather Service. Notice the dark pink of 20 inches for this large area. It even extends eastward all the way out to, my God, all the way out to Louisiana. Man, this is the indication that this storm is, because of its counterclockwise flow, it's going to be bringing in all of the moisture from the Gulf of Mexico, from the tropics, right into the U.S. Gulf Coast, and they're going to be getting torrential rainfall. That's why they're saying that this is a very dangerous situation. This is serious, folks. This is it, folks. We're dealing now. It's coming on. This is it, folks. As I mentioned before, that this is going to be one heck of a storm. Potentially, as the storm moves inland by tonight, By the time it goes inland, it's going to be stalling according to the forecast points. Notice that Cat 3 is on the table. It is going to strengthen to that category. It has maintained Category 2 status since this morning. I think it's because of the eye wall replacement cycle. As you can see here, notice that there's an outer eye wall trying to develop in the storm. What it tends to do is that when there's two eye walls, there's tend to be an eye wall replacement cycle. When that happens, the inner eye wall tends to be swallowed by the larger one that's forming, and the larger one takes its place. So by the time the eye wall replacement cycle is done, but just before landfall, it could strengthen into a Cat 3, like what the forecast is saying, M for major hurricane, probably by later tonight or overnight tonight and into early tomorrow morning, right around there. That's where it's gonna make landfall. It's gonna be near Corpus Christi. That's where it's gonna. It's gonna be near Corpus Christi, right around here. That's where it's gonna make the landfall. Just northeastward of Corpus Christi, according to most models that I'm showing. That I'm not gonna show you, but I've shown you yesterday that. But this is the storm surge watch and warning graphic from the National Weather Service. Notice the dark pink is the storm surge warnings going from, my God, South Padre Island all the way up to Houston and Galveston, right into the Galveston area. So this is a serious situation, folks. We're talking about 6 to 12 foot storm surges between Corpus Christi right up to, I say, Galveston. 5 to 8 storm surges near Galveston, Texas. The storm surge watches go from near Brownsville, Texas, all the way up to Houston. That's how big the situation is. And by the time it makes landfall, it's gonna literally slow down. That's why it could strengthen into Cat 3 status with winds of 115 or 120 miles per hour, or a high-end Cat 3, depending if it slows down or picks up speed or stuff like that. By the time it makes landfall, it's literally gonna put the brakes on. It's gonna meander all around here. Then it's gonna really start to meander around here. It's not gonna move much, and this is a 3-day period. It's not gonna move much. Look how close these dots are. These dots represent how much it moves in each advisory. Like literally, this is Saturday morning. This is Sunday morning. It barely moves. Like literally. And this is Tuesday morning. It could come out over water, as some models have it, but that's way too early to tell if it's going to come back out into the Gulf of Mexico and re-strengthen a little bit before making another landfall in eastern Texas. That's too early. That could be on the table. That could happen. It's still on the table, but we don't know what happens in the 5-day period. By the time Harvey starts to come offshore, we don't know if that's going to happen. That'll depend how far inland it will reach, and if it makes a U-turn back out into the open waters of the northwestern Gulf and right into western Louisiana. That's still too early to tell, but for the most part, this is a dangerous situation over here. The way that we have these warnings and updates, it's going to be dumping a lot of rain. Storm surges will be life-threatening. This is the #1 killer, storm surges. We could be seeing up to 12 feet in some places of storm surge in some of these areas. And these orange areas over here, all all the yellow represents all of the flood watches that's going to be in effect for a lot of